All right, all right. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. Shout out to everyone that is watching on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. And welcome back, guys. We have quite a bit to get into today. Tonight's theme is People May Surprise You. So you'll see that tonight with our stories. We are going to get things started off with our special guest really quick. I do want to show you the other stories that we are discussing tonight, because like I said, it's been a crazy weekend, you guys, if you've been paying attention to the news. So what are we talking about tonight? Tonight, we are discussing, yes, if you haven't heard by now, the Houthis, also known as Ansar Allah, have officially entered the war with Iran. I talked about the first strike on Saturday. They have implemented more strikes since then. And also, apparently, an Iraqi leader was attacked. So we're getting into this conflict is escalating beyond measure. And of course, Colonel Wilkerson will be joining us as well to talk about all of that. We're also going to discuss Tucker Carlson dropped a docu-series called The Bibi Files about Benjamin Netanyahu. We're going to get into a little bit of that, not too much, because it is paywalled. So you have to go to his website to see the full docu-series. But there's a couple of things that I do want to touch on that he highlighted on X. We're also going to discuss, if you have not heard about what happened to pro-Palestinian activist Nardine, we're going to get into her story. There was an assassination attempt on her life. So we are sending, our prayers and our wishes to Nardine, but this should have never happened in the first place. We're going to get into that story. We're also going to discuss the GOP fail. Are we headed towards a recession? And what in the world happened at CPAC? Things are changing. Are people starting to wake up? And last but not least, Miss Chilli from TLC is facing a lot of backlash after it has been reported that she allegedly donated money to Donald Trump. So, like I said, a lot happened over the weekend. We're going to dive into it, ladies and gents. First and foremost, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. You've seen him here before, Colonel Larry Wilkerson. He is the former chief of staff to Colin Powell. Let's go ahead and bring him back in. Hi, Colonel Wilkerson. Welcome back.
Hi, Sabby. Good to be back with you and back to Boston.
Okay. Well, a lot happened since I saw you last time with this Iran war. It has escalated to a whole new level. One of the things that happened is that Iran universities have been attacked. I want to go ahead and bring this in here for people who have not seen. The Iran University of Science and Technology was heavily attacked by the U.S. and Israel. You guys can see the short vid here of the damage. Yeah, so as you guys can see, the universities are being attacked. And again, this is a science and technology university, which I do think is important. The foreign minister of Iran did issue a statement just recently, and he is saying, and we all talked about the girls' school that was attacked, but according to him, he is saying that the U.S. and Israel have bombed 600 schools in Iran. Everyone, take a quick listen to this.
Distinguished delegates. Shajar Tayyib Elementary School has not been the only casualty of American-Israeli atrocity crimes during the past 27 days of their illegal war. Human rights and international humanitarian law have been massively and systematically violated by the invaders in an unprecedentedly brutal manner. They are targeting civilians and civilian infrastructures with no regard for laws of war and basic principles of humanity and civility. More than 600 schools have been demolished or damaged across Iran, and more than 1,000 students and teachers martyred or wounded as the result.
Yeah, so he's saying that they have actually hit 600 schools. That was the first time I heard that. That was recent. And then this post has been released. The Iranian embassy in South Africa posted photos of two commanders who ordered the attack on the school that killed 180 children. That was the girls' school. They said, remember these two criminals, Lee R. Tate, and he's the commander, and Jeffrey E. York, the executive officer of the USS Sprance, who ordered the launch of Tomahawk missiles 3 times, killing 168 innocent children at a school in Manab. Don't they have children of their own? So it is now being reported that these are the officers that ordered that strike. And then I just want to show you this, Larry, and I want to get your take on this. Josephine, she's very active, has been into Congress to confront them about these wars. She's a soldier as well. This is what she said about the school attack.
And it was, without a doubt, a school, if you looked at it through satellite imagery. It was, without a doubt, a school when you looked at it through the onboard camera of the Tomahawk missile. It was clear.
Okay, not Professor, sorry. Someone mentioned Professor Morandi, and now I'm thinking Professor Morandi. But
okay.
Colonel,
I answered to Professor too.
Colonel Wilkerson, what is your take on this, the targeting of the schools? We're seeing similarities again to what happened in Gaza, but also what Josephine said there about that on the satellite image, they knew without a doubt that they were attacking a school. Just wanted to get your take on that.
Well, Josephine, of course, is a member of the organization I'm a member of, the Eisenhower Media Network. So I find Josie usually knows what she's talking about. Let's back up for a moment to what you showed first, though. You showed probably the best diplomat that Iran has, and probably one of the best diplomats in the region, and for that matter, probably one of the best diplomats in the world, Arachi. And what he was doing about that same time was he was testifying before the UN Emergency Committee meeting on the attack on Manab School, the one you referred to and the one Josie was talking about. In that set of remarks, he essentially outlined what you were saying, but in much more extensive terms, in terms of ambulances, in terms of nurses, in terms of hospitals, food facilities, water facilities, energy facilities, all war crimes. Every one of them a war crime. But the important thing he did was he started by saying, you two nuclear-powered countries are attacking a non-nuclear powered country in terms of nuclear weapons. You have torpedoed not once, but twice in the middle of diplomacy, legitimate diplomacy, being conducted through the good offices of countries like Oman. You have torpedoed twice these talks. You are attacking us illegally under Article 51, under any article of the UN Charter that you want to look at. 27 days you've been attacking us. This all started, he said, with Palestine. You, America, have torn down every edifice of humanitarian law, of the laws of war, of any kind of international order. You are the culprit. You have done it. He didn't even bother to mention Israel. Of course, they're in there big time, but that's what he was talking about at that UN emergency meeting. And he said it very eloquently. That is, in fact, what we have done. We are violating just about every single thing we created post-World War II, starting with the Nuremberg Tribunal and moving on up through the Geneva Conventions. All the things we've done since then, Helsinki, human rights, international humanitarian law, international criminal law, all the things that we put together, we've destroyed. And we've destroyed them under basically two presidents, mine, George W. Bush, and now this one, putting a real tune to it, Donald Trump. We have become a rogue state. We and Israel, everyone knows Israel's a rogue state, but we have become a rogue state. We are a state, a criminal state in the world right now. And that foreign minister detailed why we are.
Yeah. And it's important that people see this, because some of the things that we're telling you here, corporate media isn't even talking about.
Nope.
Like, they're not telling you all the details about this war. And I think you all know why. But Iran, they did respond, and there was a chemical plant that was hit. And this one is a really big deal. Shout out to Dropside News for this one. A fire has broken out at Israel's Neot Hova industrial zone, which is south of Beersheba, as Iran responds to Israeli attacks on its industrial sites, including heavy damage caused to its two main steel plants. The complex is Israel's main chemical hub, housing major plants run by Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, ICL Group, Adama Agricultural Solutions, producing pharmaceuticals, bromine, and pesticides. It also contains the country's central hazardous waste treatment facility. The Israeli outlet Channel 12 News reports hazardous materials incident has been declared as a precaution, with residents receiving emergency alerts. I'm going to tell you something else about this site in a minute, but I want to show people the images here.
Yo, what the fuck? אצלנו.
And this is what it basically, like, Iran is responding like every time. And so this site in particular, there was something else that was said about this site. The Islanders said there was a secondary explosion at the Rafael Advanced Defense System site in Beersheba. So similar area here. Israel's premier weapons manufacturer, the company that makes missiles and air defense systems, i.e. the Iron Dome, David Sling, Spike missiles, etc., burning in the Negev this afternoon. So this was Iran's reply to what Israel and the U.S. did in the past 48 hours alone, striking Iran's three largest steel plants. I want to show people this here, because there's a second explosion that happened here while he's talking.
אנחנו נמצאים כרגע באזור הפגיעה בדרום. מה שאתם רואים פה כרגע מאחוריי, לוחמי אש בתחנת באר שבע מטפלים באירוע פגיעה, וכרגע יש פה השלכות על לא מעט דברים. הדבר הראשון מבחינתנו כרגע זה לעצור את האש שנמצאת כאן אחריי. הסנקציות שאתם רואים כרגע, ועד אימות 300, כרגע מבחינתנו זה לכיוון כביש 40, לפי המלצה שלנו במשטרת ישראל.
And you can see the second one there. So Colonel Wilkerson, it is being reported that this is where a weapons manufacturer is also in this area. And this is where they build those items for the defense system in Israel. So Iran also struck that as well. Thoughts?
Yes, no question about it. I've watched that for the last 24 hours. And I also read in Haaretz, the only newspaper basically I read, because Bibi doesn't own it like he does all the rest of them. 5,768 Israelis are admitted to hospitals. And then it went on to say that all have come home except 117. I wonder if they came home to be buried or to go back home. It's bad. It really is bad. Iran started out hitting military targets, which was their custom. That's what they did in the 12-day war back in June. Military targets only. Now, as Arachi so incredibly detailed, with all the targets that Israel and the United States have hit, largely from outside of Iran. Another lie is that we have air supremacy over Iran. We do not. We're launching most of these weapons from outside Iran. We're launching glide bombs, we're launching JDAMs, we're launching missiles and such. We aren't flying over Iran because we do not have air supremacy over Iran. So what they're doing now is matching Israel blow for blow. They're going after other things. They started with the oil facilities at Haifa and hit it with the Khorramshan missile that almost destroyed the place. I think what we're looking at right now, if Iran continues this, we're looking at an existential situation for Israel. Israel is going to be aflame. It's going to be burning. All of its people are going to be underground in bomb shelters, unable to come out, unable to move. And that's a very dangerous situation, in my view. I think other people are coming around, in my view. It's a very dangerous situation because Bibi Netanyahu is going to feel like he has to use a nuclear weapon in order to get out of this. Iran, in short, is destroying the state of Israel right now. Methodically, blow by blow, missile by missile, Israel has run out of, or almost run out of, the key missiles to shoot back. They're trying to husband what they have because they don't know what's coming, and I can tell them what's coming. There are still probably 10,000 missiles yet to be fired, maybe more than that. So Israel is being methodically destroyed, and we're standing by and watching it, and so is Netanyahu. I don't think he's too happy about it. And one wonders what he does think about it, because it is becoming more and more apparent, even to his own people, the IDF chief, the mayors whose towns and villages are getting hit, the other people in the structure who understand what's happening to them, even if they only see this little segment of it, because Netanyahu closes down all communications and won't let people talk to each other, won't let newspaper people in there, TV people in there. You can't get into Israel to examine exactly what's happening, but it is so widespread now and so prolific that it's impossible to hide.
Let me get your take on the Houthis, because they sounded an alarm a couple of days ago that if the U.S. were to send in troops to try to take Karg Island, or basically to try to put these boots on the ground, that they would get involved in this war. Then they struck late Friday evening, early Saturday morning. They did strike, and they are now officially a part of this war. I think
that's going to be a huge issue because, as you remember, Pete Hegseth boasting notwithstanding, they drove us out of the Red Sea before. And if you want to look at a global problem, a true global problem, I mean, it's not like the Strait of Hormuz isn't a problem. 3,200, 3,300 ships stuck off the Strait of Hormuz, 30,000 mariners without enough water to drink, this is a colossal global problem right now. But if you want to talk about a real problem, add the Bab el-Mandeb to it, because more shipping in terms of variegated products like cotton, soybeans, you name it, goes through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Most of what comes out of the Persian Gulf is in some way connected with oil products, or like helium, urea, things like that. They are very, very sorely needed products. Helium, for example, in the making of computer chips and such. But the Red Sea is one of the major conduits of the world. And if they get that shut down, then we are looking not at a recession, which it really technically already is, two quarters in a row. 2 quarters in a row is a recession, and we've got it now. We're looking at a depression. We're looking at a global depression, not just a depression in the Western Hemisphere, but across the globe, with the possible exception of Russia, because Russia is getting richer and richer and richer every day with all the oil she's selling and all the people now that are begging her to sell them oil. So this is a colossally dangerous situation that we have set up by attacking Iran. Not even talking about the legality or illegality of it, the cruelty of it, the brutality of it, the fact that Iran was not in any way a threat to the United States of America, and that Trump did it for Bibi and for Miriam. That's the only reason Trump did this. And now he's stuck in it, and he doesn't know what to do about it. And he is causing the world to suffer, and it is going to suffer much more and much more profoundly if we don't stop. I think it may have started to the point now that it can't be stopped. I looked at the target list that Iran has. Iran has almost every key target, and they've already proven that they can hit what they have. They have hit targets all over Southwest Asia. They've destroyed our radars. They've killed people that we haven't even fessed up to yet. They've destroyed our ability to do things in the region in a very, very meaningful and what I would call clever way. But if you look at the target list that they still have left that they could hit if they want to, that means everything stops. That's the reason Mohammed bin Salman and Mohammed bin Zayed, UAE and Saudi Arabia, have been urging Trump to continue this war, because they know they're going to be wiped out if Iran is allowed to continue this target list. And I assume that if we don't stop, Iran will in fact continue. Then we're going to have things taken down in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE and Qatar and elsewhere that are significant to the world economy beyond even what we've got now. So this is truly shaping up to be a complete, colossal disaster that Donald Trump has started.
How do you feel about the decision to send more Marines to Iran, that 82nd Airborne Division there? Again, I feel like they're being sent into a death trap.
And this is really strange, Sabby. This is really strange. We've been looking, we being the Eisenhower Media Network, Josie's group, my group, and others, Larry Johnson, Ray McGovern, we've been looking at these units that are being cited by the Pentagon as going marshaling for Iran. Some of them haven't even received a warning order yet. Others haven't even got any kind of instruction on where they're going or when they're going. They've been named, though. They've been named by the Pentagon as included in this conglomeration that is converging on Iran. Last night, one was identified as being in CENTCOM's AOR, area of responsibility. It was on Diego Garcia. That's 4,000 kilometers away. Okay, you're in the AOR, but you're 4,000 kilometers away. Then we look at some of these other units that have been alerted, like the 160th SOAR, the Ready Brigade out of 18th Airborne Corps, 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg, the Rangers from Washington, and other units that have been cited by the Pentagon as being involved. And they're either not moving yet, or if they are moving, they're a long way from the battlefield. So we're really perplexed at what's going on here. Are they playing a kabuki game designed to frighten Iran? They're not doing any diplomacy. That's another thing, Sabby. You saw the cabinet meeting, I'm sure, and Witkoff giving his briefing. Witkoff has not talked to a single Iranian. He's been talking to Pakistanis, Omanis, and others, thank God, offering their good offices for diplomacy, but he's not talked to any Iranians. So how can he come back and give a briefing to the president in front of the American people in a stage for publicity cabinet meeting and talk about negotiations and their failure? He hasn't talked to anyone. This is a strange game. It's almost like kabuki. You know, one person saying this, another person saying that, and you can't identify that anything coherent is happening. Now, there are some units moving. There are some ships moving, but we also know that one of the ships broke down. We also know that Ford had to get called out. So we're confused. We're thoroughly confused. The Pentagon is not putting out a straight story. And we don't know whether it's because they're trying to maybe play with this a little bit and keep Trump from doing something stupid, or they're actually trying to marshal forces and they're finding out those forces aren't quite as ready as they thought they were, because it looks strange from a military perspective. It looks strange. One of the Mews was supposed to come off Okinawa. We talked to someone on Okinawa and they said, we don't even have a warning order. You got 2,000 Marines plus that are going to get on a ship and go, and you don't even have a warning order yet. So it's totally confusing what they're doing. Maybe they're doing this on a strategic basis that says, if we say all these things and make it look like they're happening, that'll increase the pressure on the Iranians and maybe they'll agree to negotiate. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they've been fooled twice now. They're not going to do that. So that means this is all just idiocy that they're going to have to explain to the American people eventually. And if they are moving these units in a significant way that we can't see, they got to pass through the Panama Canal. That's pretty visible, then where are they going and what are they going to do? Are they just going to use special operating units and try to land on Carg Island or one of the other islands like General Keane, that ass, was saying the other day? Pardon my French. I don't know. It's impossible to figure out what's happening here. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to fool everybody, including the American people.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't know if you know, but some soldiers have been speaking out and trying to get out of this.
Yes.
Like some soldiers, they've been trying to, I forget what it's called, but there's this type of, I guess, petition that they could try to use to get out of having to go.
At any given time, I know the American people don't know this, but at any given time in the United States Army, probably 10 to 20% of your people are what are called non-deployables. So we're down now. We had a couple of million men at one particular time. We're down to about 390,000 right now. About 10 to 20% of that at any given time is non-deployable. It's a whole range of things. It can be for female soldiers. It can be pregnancy or pending pregnancy. They're in the first stages or whatever. Or maybe they're even having a baby. For male soldiers, it can be everything from dependency. You've got a situation where you can't leave your wife, you can't leave your children, or all to say that there's a percentage that aren't deployable. So when you start to look at exactly how many ground forces, including the Marines, that the American Army and military establishment in general can put on the ground in Iran, it's not very many. It's not very many at all, which tells us, okay, that's why they're talking about all these special operating forces. Think Venezuela. They want to do it with special operating forces. And this morning we heard they're going after what Ted Postol has been talking about, and that is that Ted thinks, and I'm sure you know Ted from MIT, he thinks that they have, as the North Koreans did when we were negotiating with them in 2002, they already have the capability to make a bomb. He thinks they have the enriched uranium, they have the warhead matching technology and, sense and brains to do it. And they have the facility underground, deeply underground in the mountains, and that they are probably going to make a bomb or two. I tell the story about 2002 when we went to Pyongyang, North Korea, and we were going to offer the North Koreans a huge economic package that we'd gotten through Dick Cheney and George Bush, and we were going to offer it to them. It was a huge package of economic incentives for Pyongyang, something they had never seen in their lives. We were going to offer it to them to stop their nuclear program. And Kang Seok-ju looked right at Jim Kelly, our representative, and said, too late, we've already got bombs. And in fact, they had 6 to 12 bombs. So we came home. Well, what Ted is saying is that the Iranians can do that too now. And by the way, they had a lot of instruction from the North Koreans back there in the early 2000s too. So I have no doubt Ted is probably right. That puts a whole new flavor to this. If we got 3 nuclear states now, Iran being the third one, and someone gets desperate enough to use a nuclear weapon, I've no doubt in my mind that if Bibi Netanyahu uses a nuclear weapon against Iran, he will get one back. And Israel is not Iran. Very small state, very small state. A couple of nuclear weapons is all it would take to put Israel underneath. Iran, you could drop 50 nuclear weapons on Iran of the size that Israel has, and you'd get a lot of destruction, but they'd still be there to fight you because it's as big as Western Europe. It's 93 million people. So we're in a realm right now that I hope Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and General Kane understand just how dangerous it is. But I'm not confident they do.
No, and he got out of the Iran nuclear agreement.
Yes. We were back there and we had it. And, you know, Trump said, and others said, the neocons said, oh, there's a 25-year moratorium. They'll cheat in 25 years. Well, we don't have that 25-year gap now. I mean, yeah, so what? 25 years, you can negotiate a new agreement, you know? No, that was terrible. That was terrible. No, you didn't deal with the ballistic missiles. No, and you aren't dealing with them now. What you're doing now is eating them one at a time.
Yeah, and I want people to see there was like a tag team the other night, and this is like it was Hezbollah, Iran, and Ansar Allah. All three of them at once. They're calling it the unity of fronts attacked Israel at the same time. Let me show you a couple here. I have to do it like this because you guys know how YouTube is, but all three of them came together to attack Israel. This is what we were warning people. I told you guys, like, you don't want other people to. So Israel's getting a lot of damage. Corporate media isn't showing you, I would say, most of it. There's another one there. Yeah. So you see, all three of them came together. And then people have to know that Israel just killed two Lebanese journalists. Yes. That were reporting on the ground. And so they've been attacking Lebanon too. They're not just bombing Iran. They just bombed Gaza again a couple days ago.
Israel has killed more journalists in a shorter period of time than any state in human history that we know of. The total of journalists that they've killed is just off the charts. And they've killed American journalists. You know that. They may have been Muslims, they may have been, but they were American citizens. And the other thing about Lebanon is he's bitten off more than he can chew. He didn't realize Hezbollah had reconstituted. He didn't realize they were so well armed. I saw a picture of a video of an Israeli Merkava tank column, and I actually saw tankers, the vaunted Israeli Armored Corps, getting out of their tanks and running up a hill because they had killed the lead tank, killed the back tank, and they were going to kill the ones in between. I've never seen that before. So they are taking it on the head in Lebanon, and he's responding to that, typical Netanyahu, by bombing hotels and restaurants and dry cleaners and innocent civilians in Beirut. He's just bombing the bejesus out of Beirut. This is a man, I think, who's somewhat demented now, not unlike our own president. And you know, he's facing this election that I think there's a very good chance he thinks, and it might be accurate, he's going to lose, and then he's out altogether. So now he's messing around with the government, trying to make sure that he can't be taken out, and he can't. No elections will happen. And I really do seriously worry about this new situation with both countries, Iran potentially, Israel certainly, having nuclear weapons.
And other people are now joining the ranks. Pakistan is now in the mix of all of this. This was just came out Sunday. Yeah. The Pakistan Pashtun tribal leaders at the Iranian consulate in Peshawar. If you give the order, we millions of tribal Pashtuns stand ready to wage jihad alongside Iran against Israel. We will arrange our own weapons and rations. You guys can see it here.
Inshallah, हम कबाइल ट्रेवल की तुम्हारा साथ अपना कारतूस, अपना राइफल, अपना असला, अपना राशन खुद हम अपना बंदोबस्त करेंगे और अल्लाह के रास्ते में जिहाद रास्ते से हम इंशाल्लाह ईरान के साथ हैं और शाना बेशाना इंशाल्लाह ईरान के साथ हैं। अभी आप ऑर्डर दे दो, जितना कबाइल मानता है हम देने के लिए तैयार है। जिधर बेचता है इसराइल बेचता है, फलस्तीन बेचता है, ईरान की जरूरत हो तो हम इंशाल्लाह आपके साथ शाना बेशाना।
So he said, if need be, we will arrange it. So now Pakistan is involved in this.
Let's look at what we've done here. About 6-7 years ago, Mohammed bin Salman went to Islamabad with a $20 billion gift in his pocket. There are some of us, myself included, knowing the country the way I do, that what that was for was not just because Pakistan, you may recall, had had some really terrible flooding, but it was also a guarantee that should Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, MBS need a nuclear weapon or two, Pakistan would furnish them. In other words, they were scared of Iran and scared of the potential for them to build a nuclear weapon, and they've always been scared of Israel. So he wanted to make sure, you may recall too, that at the same time, diplomacy was going on between Washington and Riyadh to give them a more robust nuclear program, to give them the capability to break out of their civilian program and build a bomb themselves. And that's what MBS really wanted. Well, he didn't get that from us, despite Trump's promises. So he went to Islamabad. Now we're looking at that being completely reversed. Now we're looking at the possibility that Pakistan might fall in on the side of Iran simply because they want to fall on Israel. So we have reversed everything in the region. And we and Israel have done it. We have become isolated. I'll make a prediction right now. 5 years from now, we will not be in Southwest Asia in terms of military forces. We will not be there. We'll be kicked out.
Many of the bases in the Middle East have been destroyed.
Yes. And they're all looking at that. Those countries are looking at it and saying, wow, wonder what's next. And as I was telling you, on Iran's target list, what's next is not U.S. assets in their countries. It's their assets.
What do you mean their assets?
I mean, Saudi Arabia's oil terminals. I mean, Qatar's oil terminals, LNG. You know, Saudi Arabia has one that's about 12 million barrels per day production capacity. And then there's Ras Tanura, which when we dealt with that in Beijing in 2009, it was about 8 to 9 million barrels per day. And they have a pipeline that goes over near Jeddah and flows into the Red Sea. That's to keep them from having to depend totally on the Persian Gulf. That's really good. Who's going to blow that pipeline up? Boop. The Houthis. I mean, and are you going to be able to get a ship in the Red Sea? So that alternative route for Saudi oil is covered by Iran and the Houthis. Saudi Arabia won't be able to sell a barrel. If Iran does this, it will take down all of their ability to sell petroleum and LNG and other products. It'll cripple them completely. I hope they don't go that far because that means the globe gets crippled too.
Well, what is the likelihood you think that Saudi Arabia might get involved in this war?
It wouldn't be that much unless Pakistan did give them a nuclear weapon, because the Saudi military is just not capable of doing very much. Neither is Qatar, neither is the UAE, really. Little Sparta, they called themselves, but they couldn't beat the Houthis together. They were in coalition and they couldn't beat the Houthis. UAE, Saudi Arabia, they were all in the same coalition. They couldn't beat the Houthis. 10 years they fought them. The Houthis fought them to a standstill. So you're not talking about a lot of military power there, but you are talking about a lot of economic power that were Iran to execute this next phase of its target list as successfully as it did the first phase, the whole globe would suffer. I mean, Taiwan would be a basket case in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's just number one, I think I think we need to leave these countries alone. We cause a lot of destruction.
Thank you.
Yeah, we leave these countries alone. Let the people be. But I'll show you guys again, like just some of the more destruction that happened in Tel Aviv. And for people wondering, Grok did actually confirm this one, but this is one of them here. The fires.
Good.
And it's interesting too, because some people like reached out to me and they were like, well, what about, isn't the Iron Dome supposed to protect Israel? It's like, I think people may not realize until now that the Iron Dome doesn't block everything, right? So
Yeah,
Mid-Press News,
there's a
yeah.
report out right now, and it's very trustworthy, on missiles and missile supplies. And the Israeli side of the house shows that in critical components, they only have 4 to 6 to 7 to 8 days left. So you see them not firing. They're not firing because they're very, very frightened of what's going to come in next. And so they're keeping them, to shoot at things that they think are more serious. I don't know how they're making their determinations, to tell you the truth. I've watched videos of the entire night is black. And then all of a sudden, Iran's very, very high velocity Karam Shahs come in and they disperse, as you're probably aware, these, I don't call them cluster munitions. I call them like our MIRVed warheads. They actually cover a vast area when they come in. And you see these missiles coming in from Iran and you see nothing going up. Whereas before, and you saw these videos, I'm sure, you saw missiles going up and you saw lots of Iran's missiles being hit and only a few getting through. Well, now you see Iran's missiles coming in and nothing going up. and they hit and they do enormous destruction. In Haifa and Tel Aviv and elsewhere, they've done enormous. You got mayors of little townships and things in Israel crying. You probably saw, you had the IDF chief, Netanyahu rebuked him for doing it, but he was almost in tears. You're destroying my defense force. I think, and this figure, 5,768 Israelis in hospital, and 117 are all that are still in hospital. I think that's hogwash. There's probably a lot more still in hospital. The implication there of the press was that that's how many went to hospital. That's quite a few, almost 6,000. But they were just minor wounds, and so they all went home or back to the bomb shelter or whatever. They're lying. They're lying through their teeth. They're masters at lying. They're hiding most of this. But it's getting to be very difficult to hide the degree of destruction that's happening inside Israel.
Speaking of the hiding, thank you, Mikey, for asking this question. I didn't want to forget about this one. The story about the detained Delta Force unit, is that true or not? I haven't found confirmation, but Iran is saying that there have been troops that have been captured.
I have fairly good advice that there have been some, and I'm not sure, though, whether they are British SAS or American Special Forces like Delta or a combination of the two. But I feel sure that some of these reports are accurate. It's not a lot of people. It was people, I think, that went in to essentially try to reconstruct what Israel has now admitted was completely destroyed, partly by their own bombing. They had an enormous intelligence network in Iran. Now, the Iranians rounded up a lot of them and caught them in the latest, remember when they were having the riots and we were seeing Mike Pence, I think it was, actually got it right. He said, and the Mossad agents standing beside them as they were having the riots, supposedly, the Iranians were rioting. Well, there were a lot of Mossad agents, SAS and others, British agents, MI6, and I suspect American CIA, and they're pushing the Iranians, pushing them to strike their own government. And that caused Iran to be able to identify a lot of the agents that were operating in Iran, British agents, American agents, Azerbaijanis, Armenians, a whole host Kurds. They got rid of them. They either put them in jail, in prison, or they killed them. And so they were trying to reconstitute that because they had lost their eyes on the ground in Iran. Israel, in particular, had lost its eyes. And it depends on those eyes to tell it where targets are and so forth. They had lost them. So they were trying to reconstitute them, I think. And that's where these guys probably got captured.
Wow. Okay. Because corporate media doesn't really want to talk about that one.
No, it's astonishing how sorry our mainstream media is. It's just they keep giving me the excuse. The New York Times, the Washington Post, that they don't have the staff anymore. They don't have anybody over there. They don't have any people to take pictures. They don't have anybody, period. Did Bezos do that to you post? You know, why are you so inept now? Or is it Israel doing that to you? I don't know. But they just miss it every day, day in and day out. They take the pablum given to them by the White House and report it as the truth.
That's right. The State Department talking points.
Yep.
But I do want you guys to see some of those hits that happened. So just so that people understand, this is how many targets were, you know, those were the hits on Israel. That's how many times and all the different sites that were hit within the past 24 hours. So that's what I'm telling you. They're not Iran, Yemen, and Hezbollah. They're not playing around.
And you could put a map up there, Sabby, and you could show Saudi Arabia, you could show Qatar, you could show Bahrain, you could show Iraq, especially up in Kurdistan. You could show those countries, and you could show the targets there that have been totally destroyed. Many of them, hundreds of millions of dollars of U.S. radars and other U.S. facilities, completely wiped out the Israeli contingent up in Kurdistan. So it's not just Israel they're hitting. They're hitting targets throughout the region.
And you can even see here's another one, other multiple strikes that came through. Again, if you guys aren't following them, follow Dropsite News. They've been pretty up to date on a lot of these things. Now we're talking about Iraq, and I have to bring you in about this one, Colonel Wilkerson. Massive Iranian drone attack underway in northern Iraq. So they're saying that these impacts reported around Erbil. Multiple strikes have been reported across and around Erbil as a large-scale drone attack unfolds, with U.S. C-RAM air defense systems activated to intercept the incoming threats. Erbil hosts a major U.S. military presence, including facilities at the airport and nearby bases used for operations, intelligence, and coordination in Iraq and Syria. It is also home to a U.S. consulate and has been repeatedly targeted in these attacks. So we're talking about
what they're not telling you is that there's a major Mossad element there too. Israel,
in Iraq.
Yeah, in Erbil.
Because people are literally saying, and I have to ask you about this one, Colonel Wilkerson, please tell me that we are not going to have some type of war or conflict in Iraq again.
I think we got it. We got it right now. And in fact, I'm told what's happening. You know, I think we've reduced the way you usually do this. The embassy in Baghdad would be reduced to emergency personnel only. In other words, everyone else would be evacuated. The difficulty's been you can't get evacuation methods because the airports are closed for fear of being hit by Iran. And so no one wants to fly their planes and kill people in the air. And so we have evacuated, as far as I can tell, as much as we can of the embassy in Baghdad because it's been hit too. And what's happening is Iraq really, even its established government, is not really happy with our presence lingering in their country. And so instead of pushing to keep the Shia militias from attacking us, they now are just kind of withdrawing and letting it happen. So we have lots of people in Iraq allied with Iran, mostly Shia militias, and they have weaponry, they have rockets, and they have shoulder-fired missiles and things. That's probably, remember the two KC-135s, the two refuelers? That's what really happened. We all, in the intelligence community, we all think that's what really happened because we have video of the shoulder-fired missile going up and hitting the KC-135. We also have testimony from the other pilot that he saw a missile hit it. So it wasn't a mid-air collision like the Pentagon said. One of them was actually shot down by these Shia militias inside Iraq. Look for more of that now, because the more they become empowered, the more they have success, the more they're going to attract followers.
Yeah, this is very we told people that this could spread. The other thing that happened in Iraq in regards to this as well, the US and Israel killed 2 Iraqi police officers in a double tap strike. This is coming from Iraq. I'll show you guys. This is Colonel Omar Mahmoud. He's the commander of the 1st Emergency Regiment in Nineveh. He was killed in a US-Israeli strike just recently.
That's incredible. That's for you. You just gave me that for the first time. Why in the world would we kill Iraqis in Nineveh who are our allies supposedly? Was this
I don't know
or something?
It says that the ministry said the initial strike targeted a unit of the 1st Police Emergency Battalion near the 3rd Bridge of Mosul's Western Bank. That's how the Colonel Omar was killed. Maybe he was in wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense unless they got some bad intelligence, or maybe they got intelligence that he was somehow working with the Shia militias. I don't know. That's strange. That's really strange because he's just an Iraqi soldier. I mean, they're supposed to be, on our side. One wonders if anyone is going to be on our side after this is, gets really going.
How are people feeling about when you talk to people about this, Colonel Wilkerson? What is some of the feedback you're hearing from people about Trump administration and how they're handling the geopolitics of it all?
That they're insane. I mean, that's what we're hearing. We watched that cabinet meeting very closely. I even played it over a couple of times. And that is a travesty on top of travesties. Whether you're talking about the Secretary of Energy, Witkoff briefing, Hegseth, this is the way he's conducting what are supposed to be statutory National Security Council meetings in which he is briefed by all the members of his cabinet who have a dog in the fight, and then makes a decision on what he's going to do. This is brought out into the public, a TV broadcast. Everyone's sucking up to Donald Trump in a way that is, you need a jar of Vaseline beside each chair. These people are incredible. They're just total sycophants. So you have to wonder, I hope General Kane is not that, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I hope at least he's pushing back. But you have to wonder if the president is giving him the benefit of a doubt. Is he being told all this stuff in order to make him feel good and to secure their jobs? And it's all lies. I mean, you can't dismiss that as a possibility, that they're all lying to him. And his lies are then repeated by him, and he believes them. When in fact, the situation is deteriorating at a rate that could cause significant global problems, let alone problems in the region and problems for us. I mean, we're looking at a possible global depression based on what's happening economically. You just can't disrupt these supply lines that we've created over the last 20 to 30 years. Everybody's got to get what they got to get on time. And now not only is Taiwan hurting, India hurting, China hurting, we're hurting, the whole freaking world virtually is hurting from what's happening. And countries like Russia that are making 150, I heard it's 200 million now a day more than they were before. They're just getting richer and richer and richer, but that's at the expense of the rest of the world.
I think that there's some silence that people have been calling out. One in particular is Tulsi Gabbard, who has been preaching for years about no more regime change wars. Why do you think she's so quiet?
That's a very good question. I briefed Tulsi on the JCPOA when we were trying to get her support in the Congress. You may recall that the Congress was very hard to get to support it, barely got it, maybe 2 people was the majority. And I thought Tulsi knew. In fact, I called my team away. I said, we don't need to waste time here with this Congresswoman. She knows this deal better than we do. She had studied it chapter and verse, crossed her T's, dotted her I's. And all I asked her was, are you going to vote for it or not? And she said, I'm still thinking. So I left there thinking, this is a smart woman, very smart woman. And she's not swayed by AIPAC or anything like that. I've had to change my mind completely about 4 different times. I don't know where she is now. When I watched her testify the other day, I felt sorry for her. She was lying to the committee. She didn't know she was lying. But when she told that committee that the president of the United States made the decision all by himself, and that was because he was elected by the American people, he could do that. No. They passed the 1947 National Security Act to make sure that no president ever made decisions by himself again. By law, he has to use the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Energy, the Secretary of Defense. When he makes decisions on war, he must, by law, use those people. So she was telling the committee that he broke the law. That's what she was saying. He made his decision. Come on, Tulsi, you're smarter than that.
Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy out here. I don't see how he gets out of this. I don't see how Donald Trump gets out of this instead
I don't either. I don't see how we get out of it.
No, unless they openly admit, yeah, this was a failed mission. This is a bad idea. We're getting our butts kicked. We're pulling the troops back home, and we're just going to leave Iran alone. But they'll never do that. No,
that would be, say you won, declare victory, and leave. That'd be the best practice. And by the way, you know, I thought Tulsi had a real promising political future for her. She just murdered herself. She's like Mike Pence, you know. You might not like Mike Pence, but I have to tell you, as a Republican, Mike Pence was a rising power in the Republican Party. He had his act together, and he looked like he was going to go places. It killed him to be Trump's vice president. He's dead. When have you heard of Mike Pence lately?
I haven't.
No, he's gone. It killed him. And this is going to kill Tulsi. This is going to ruin her.
Well, she can't go back to the Democratic Party either, because they got rid of her.
That's right.
Because she endorsed, she endorsed Bernie Sanders instead of Hillary Clinton. So after that, they were like, you're not our fave anymore. We're going to do everything we can to embarrass you and humiliate you and go against you. And then she ran for president, Democrat primary in 2020, and she killed Kamala Harris's chances of becoming president basically that year. And then the next thing we knew, she had made her way over to the Trump administration. Yep. So she can't go back there.
I think I misjudged her in that day I was briefing her on the JCPOA. I don't think she had the brain I thought she had.
Oh my gosh. Well, Colonel Wilkerson, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All righty.
You take care of Boston for me.
I'll try.
I haven't been up there in a while. I was coming up there pretty often. I was going to the Martin Luther King, what's it called? The Community Church of Boston.
Yeah. I've been there a couple times. Yeah.
It's a nice place. Yeah.
Everybody there is really cool.
A lot of history there. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the best time to come is summer or fall. Because of the snow.
You got some great restaurants up there too. I like Boston.
All righty. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gents, that was Colonel Wilkerson. So again, more updates with the Iran war. We have 4 more news stories that we're going to cover for you. So if you haven't done so, please do me a solid and smash that like button. If you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Let's keep it moving and grooving. Tonight's theme again is people may surprise you. People may surprise you. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really do appreciate you, fam. If you're interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. We have the ultimate, the Sabinators. There's Sabsters. There's also Sabbies, and they're not too shabby. And we also have members holding it down for the team. You can see all their names listed here, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker throughout the show, in case you were wondering who were those people at the bottom of the screen. And I want to give a shout out to a new Sabby patron. Let's give it up for Maurice Pollard, who just became a newbie. A newbie. All righty. Okay, ladies and gents, let's go ahead and get to the next story. Speaking of economic collapse, something is happening with the GOP, the Trump administration, and BlackRock owner Larry Fink and many others are now alluding to the fact that, yes, a recession is imminent, but also that it could be so much more worse. Let's get started with what happened recently at CPAC, shall we? Everybody's laughing about it. Everybody's talking about it. This guy here went to CPAC expecting America first and unapologetic faith. What he saw was something different. Let's go ahead and get this guy's take, and then we're going to show you a couple more. Here we go.
Now, this is how much I'm standing on what I believe. I left out of the event. I was backstage. I was backstage with Ted Cruz. I was backstage with everybody. And I confronted them on what they're doing here and the lies that they're telling you guys about the rooms being full. They're not full. They're bullshit. This is supposed to be an America First movement. It's not. There are more other countries' flags here than American flags here. And I refuse to stand next to the bullshit. CPAC is falling. I won't tie my brand next to it. This is trash.
Well, again, that is CPAC 2026, but it's not just that one guy. In fact, one of these you can see yourself. There was a question that was proposed at CPAC to the audience, and I think you guys need to hear the response from the audience. This one was actually kind of crazy. I'm surprised by this one. Let's go ahead and bring this one in here. I shared this one and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. People cheered for impeachment hearings at CPAC. Check this out.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No, that was the wrong answer. Try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the...
Yeah, no, that's
I know. We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that? How many of you?
So, yeah, at first I was like, is that a joke? Is this real? Someone spoofed this video or whatever, but no, that was real. So there were people in the audience at CPAC who cheered on impeachment hearings, not once, but twice. So what does that tell you? It doesn't look good for Donald Trump. It doesn't look good for his administration. Many are starting to wonder, does that make things worse for the Republican Party? You also had RFK Jr. appear at CPAC, tell this story that I do not believe. Listen to this.
He has encyclopedic molecular knowledge on this wide range of very, very eclectic interests. Music, Broadway shows, pro wrestling, football, every sport, golf, and business and Wall Street. He knows how everybody made their money and what deals they made. And he tells stories all the time about it. It's just one after the other. And one time during the campaign, I was on the airplane with him, and we were sitting across the table from each other, eating McDonald's, drinking Diet Coke. And
what was so funny about that? I don't get why that was so funny.
We started talking about Syria, and he got a placemat, and he turned it on its back, and then he took a Sharpie and he drew a perfect map of the Mideast. And then he put the troop strength of every country on every border on that map. And it just, it challenged a lot of the assumptions that I had been told about him. He has...
Yeah, I don't believe that story at all. I believe that Donald Trump probably drew some type of an outline or whatever, but I do not believe everything there that RFK Jr. just said. George said the orange is rubbing off on him.
You know, he has this extraordinary depth of knowledge about what's happening in each one of the agencies, my agency and the others, and you know, and then he has an instinct for making good choices.
Yes. Well, I have to say that,
and
yeah, it's bad.
I would say this. I think, you know, I think my uncle John Kennedy understood the use of power better than any president who has preceded him. I think Donald Trump understands the use of power better than probably any president that we've had, at least since Roosevelt and maybe in American history.
That's because he's a billionaire. Of course, billionaires understand how to use power. Duh, right? So those are some signs to show you the problem that is happening with the Republican Party. Also, there's this one here from Joe Rogan. And I keep showing these moments from Joe Rogan because he was the one, he endorsed Donald Trump. He interviewed Donald Trump on his platform, although, you know, I think he extended that offer to Kamala Harris as well. But he endorsed Donald Trump. So now, like, Joe Rogan is saying a lot of stuff.
You know, the phrase "Make America Great Again." I don't care. Then
but
fine.
That phrase sucks. Here's the thing. Like, first of all, America is great. Make America greater, I'm down. But make America great again, and then it becomes a movement of a bunch of fucking dorks. Because a lot of them are dorks. A lot of them, these really weird, fucking uninteresting, unintelligent people that have got something they cling to. And there's a lot of people that are just real, genuine patriots. And they're all lumped into this one group, and you got to accept the dorks too. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So according to Joe Rogan, he feels like MAGA is just consumed of a bunch of dorks. Like, it's like, I mean, everybody is coming out. Then there is this issue here with Fishback. Fishback is running as a governor for the state of Florida. I want to show you what he just said to his crowd right now. I believe he's running against Byron Donalds. Listen to what he just said to his crowd. Again, you see people wearing the hats that say America First. He's running as a Republican. Listen to what he tells them.
You should never vote for a candidate. I don't care if they're a Democrat or even a Republican if they take money from AIPAC. They are traitors to this country if they take money from AIPAC. Their allegiance is to Israel, not to the United States of America. You should never vote for a candidate. I don't care if they're a Democrat or even a Republican if they take money from AIPAC. They are traitors to this country if they take money from AIPAC. Their allegiance is to Israel, not to the United States of America.
So that would represent a shift, of course, in the Republican Party. I mean, now I would say that to any candidate. No, you should not take money from the Israeli lobby, period. It's not just AIPAC, because there's a lot of candidates in the Republican Party that take money from Kufi, right? So, you know, we've been telling you guys about this. Pay attention to people. They're kind of sneaky, but you see this kind of shift that's happening. A lot of people like Tim Pool, who's the other one who's always kissing Trump's ass? Oh, Benny Johnson, like those podcasters, they will have you believe, they're like, there's no shift happening. That's just a small segment of agitators. I mean, I don't know. You know, there are more and more people that are conservative that are starting to say, yeah, bruh, I'm tired of the wars. I don't want my money going somewhere else. And no, I don't think that we should put Israel first. Let's break away from Israel. So that has been spreading. Now, do I feel like it's the majority of the Republican Party? No, I don't. But I do see that there is some type of change that is happening there. And here's the other problem. Donald Trump isn't going to tell you this, but the data is showing that, yes, a recession seems to be imminent. I want to show you a little bit here, and then you'll hear from the bankers as well. Shout out to Stock Market News. This is how recessions start. On Monday morning, the 67-year-old Austrian economist named Jean Jesus updated a number on Goldman Sachs' internal model. He changed it from 25% to 30%, marking the third time he adjusted that number in 90 days. The number is Goldman's probability of a U.S. recession in the next 12 months. It was 20% at the start of the year, 25% 11 days ago, and now it's 30 today. So Hatzus isn't dramatic. He doesn't go on CNBC to scream about crashes. He's the kind of guy who lets the data do the talking and then updates his model accordingly. And regardless of what people may think about this, what it is showing you is that the numbers are trending up. That percentage is increasing, it's not decreasing. But you don't have to believe that guy. I mean, maybe you should listen to the head of Europe's central bank. This is what I'm saying. Let me show you what the banker is saying, and I'm going to show you what Larry Fink is saying. They know something that we don't know. The head of Europe's central bank just went on record and said financial markets don't understand what they're in for. Her name is Christine Lagarde. Let's hear what she says here, guys. It's all on video. You can hear it from her.
We are facing a real shock that is probably beyond what we can imagine at the moment.
I would agree with that. I mean, I look at financial markets and I think there's some kind of cognitive dissonance going on. Do you think there is just a sort of blind optimism that somehow this is going to be over and the world will go back to normal and people are going to suddenly wake up? Or will it be a gradual realization that there are going to be really significant consequences?
Well, maybe they're overly optimistic and determined to stay optimistic in the hope that the positive scenario will materialize and we will be back to normal in relatively short time, which is not what the technical experts are telling us in terms of capacity, extraction, refinery, distribution, because too much has already been damaged and there is no way that it can be restored in a matter of months.
That's the part I really wanted people to pay attention to. Again, this is the head of the central bank in Europe. She said too much has already been damaged, so you can't undo what has already happened. Everybody remember that.
People are actually talking about years. What I think might also happen, because we've experienced it, is that you understand the actual consequences gradually as you read through the facts, the supply chain consequences, the kind of raw materials that is critically important for particular manufacturing. I'll give you an example. Helium, which transits through the Strait of Hormuz, is critically important for microchips. Well, unless you figured that out, you're not certain that there will be instant or very relatively quick consequences on the cost of microchips because of the rarity that will result from not having available one of the raw materials. And I think this is a crisis where we are learning almost bit by bit, day by day, what the actual consequences will be, what countries will be most affected, what of the commodities will be the most in demand.
So you guys, you see why I keep saying it's not so much left versus right, it's top versus bottom. I mean, sure, we're going to have our differences. We're going to have disagreements over a lot of different things, probably. We're going to have those disagreements. We're going to have like different views on capitalism and how the healthcare system should work, etc. But I hope the one thing that we can all start to understand is that at the end of the day, it's top down. And you'll see that these people will be just fine, right? Like if you're not a billionaire, you know, you're going to be a part of the struggle here. Now, there was one as well from BlackRock. Let me show you this one because this is Larry Fink. And I mean, he's an asshole, but he's saying something here that you need to pay attention to. The man who manages 11 trillion just said two words that should terrify every person on the planet: global recession. So let's hear him say this here, ladies and gents.
A year from now, oil at $40 a barrel. I could see it above $150 a barrel. Well, we have two very extreme outcomes. And in my conversations throughout the world with the U.S. government, all that, to me, everybody has to recognize there's not going to be an outcome that's somewhere in the middle. It's going to either be two extremes. Is Iran a country that can be accepted by the international community? Can Iran be a country that participates in the world again? And if that outcome occurred, then you could have the Iranian oil back into the marketplace, alongside the growth of the Venezuelan oil, and you could paint a picture where oil prices could be lower than they were prior to the Iranian war. If there's a cessation of war, and yet Iran remains a threat to trade, a threat to the Straits of Hormuz, then I would argue that we could have years of above $100, closer to $150 oil.
What happens to the global economy if that happens?
He just said that it could be years of over the $100 barrel of oil. You guys hear that? Not weeks, not months. He said years.
How do we see it?
We'll have global recession.
The US is essentially energy independent. Should countries,
That part right there, he said there will be a global recession. He'll be fine, though. He'll be fine because he's a billionaire. And I want to show you how they protect themselves, right? They get bunkers. When this global depression or global recession happens and it gets to the point where people can't take it anymore and people start losing their shit and get out into the streets, these people will retreat to their bunkers, including Palantir CEO Alex Karp. This guy just bought a $46 million billionaire bunker in Miami, which has his own private police and neighbors. His neighbors include Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jared Kushner. Everyone listen to me now. If there's anything else that you don't agree with that I talk about on this show, pay close attention to this, fam. You see how all these people are protecting themselves? They all have bunkers. Bill Gates also has a bunker. I bet you all the billionaires probably have. See how they have these bunkers to protect themselves? He even has his own private police force. They are getting ready because they know what's coming. And by the time it's admitted to us that, hey, we're in a global depression. They don't even like to say the R word. They don't like to say recession, corporate media. By the time it is revealed to us, people are going to lose their shit. And people, I think at some point, more people are going to start to realize, you know what? Maybe it's not my neighbor. Maybe it's not my neighbor that voted for the Democratic Party. Maybe it's not my neighbor that voted for the Republican Party. Where the hell did all the billionaires go while we are out here struggling, fighting for goods, fighting for gas? Where did all those guys? Oh, they went into their bunkers. They're the problem. But you won't be able to come for them because they will be protected in their little bunkers. Guess not so little at all. This guy right here, CEO of Palantir, this guy is going to be surveilling. He developed technology to surveil all of us so they can control the masses, but he has a bunker that he can retreat to. So everybody pay attention to what is going on. A global depression, that would be very scary. But the billionaires know that at some point or another, this time is coming and they are prepared. So the GOP is failing, but the Democratic Party is failing too. I mean, the wins that the Democrats are getting right now are because, Donald Trump has been so horrible. But even those wins, even if the Democrats take back the House and the Senate, what people have to understand is you heard what these people just said, what Larry Fink just said, and what the head of the central bank in Europe just said. The damage has already been done. What that tells you is that regardless of which party ends up taking back, Congress or whatever, or the White House in 2028, the economic damage and pain has already been done. Take note. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents, some of the super chats. Thank you for the super chat, Cougar Lady. Sabby, I love your show. All this venom for Chilli of TLC, who has zero political power while the Congressional Black Caucus hasn't done a damn thing for Black America since it was formed. At least TLC gave us great music. We'll get to that story. Thank you for the super sticker, Sisters Embellishment. Oh, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Give her a big whoop whoop. Thank you, Marlon. Reverse psychology, the real terrorists exposed. Ralph said all of this BS for Israel, Bibi, and the Ado sons. Thank you, Marlon. Is pride and ego worth all of this? Are there no adults left in the room? Good question. Thank you, Marie. I live in Europe and I agree with Colonel Wilkerson. The opinion of the U.S. has gone down in the gutter along with Israel. I enjoy your show. Very honest. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Flower Bro. Tel Aviv could be a beautiful parking lot. Thank you, IDF kills children. Glory to Allah, in Allah we trust. Thank you, Marvin. Vault Negev, desert complex collapse, 3,500 IDF trap. I don't know if that one's been confirmed, but I can check on that. Thank you, Jimmy Dean. Levaton Gas Fields. Thank you. Thank you for the super sticker, Lake. Thank you, Jesus. Why isn't anybody speaking about the X factor called ISIS? You know, I haven't talked about them in a while. Good point. I could get into that at some point. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Measured Man. Briefings are a bunch of yelling bravado with cheap hair gel. I have never seen anything like this. They sit and laugh talking about pins. Thank you, Marlon. Epiphiles and APAC leverage still hold the politicians in check. Thank you, Marlon. Believe it or not, Trump has re-election plans. Oh, I believe it. I believe you on that one. Thank you, Measured Man. You pointed out Jack with the lady running against Lindsay. Then I went through the site. I posted them all, Mr. Booker too. Yep. Thanks, New York Varsity. When AI takes people's jobs, no one has money to buy goods, and everyone goes broke except the generational wealthy. Let the Hunger Games begin. And thank you, MTN. Money transfer from the have-nots to the have-yachts. And thank you for this one, MTN. Pattern recognition, WEF, WTF. Thank you, RM Guest. Time to invest in bunker busters. And thank you, Jay. You better thank a member, Sabby. You better thank a Sabby member in Kamala's voice. Thank you, Jay. Okay. All right, ladies and gents, let's get to the next story. If you haven't done so, do me a solid and smash the like. And let's keep it moving and grooving. A young pro-Palestinian activist, Nardine Kiswani, was the target of an assassination plot just recently. Luckily, she was not killed. But if we go back to January, Nadine was warning people then. The JDL, a Zionist terrorist organization, is openly threatening me and my child, saying they're watching us and will make sure we don't exist in the United States. I take these threats seriously because I remember the JDL assassinated Palestinian activist Alex Oda in California in 1985. I believe X removed that post at the time, but she was giving people the warning back in January. Now, just recently, it has been reported that someone who was a member of the JDL, again, this is a violent terrorist organization that is not just pro-Israel, but anti-everybody else. And they have been known to violently and physically attack people. This person tried to bomb her house. This is not a joke. This is real life. The things that people are dealing with. But the Trump administration would have you believe that the people who are the most targeted in this country are Jewish Americans, and that anti-Semitism is the greatest threat. When we look at what happened with Nardine, she said the person who plotted the attempted assassination attempt on me is affiliated with the JDL 613 Brotherhood. As per the Associated Press, I called out this specific offshoot in January, which I just showed you guys. They deleted the blatant threat, but here's the screenshot. So this is what the JDL said to her. They said, "You and your baby are disgusting and vile scum. Neither of you should exist in the USA. We will meet one day, Nardine. We are watching everyone." But nobody in Trump's administration said anything about this. Nothing. Oh, and don't worry, the Democrats didn't say anything either. So you see, when the shoe is on the other foot, they don't give a damn. If this threat would have been made to Nardine and she was Jewish American, you know things would have been very different. This is what I'm talking about. Those were just words at that time, but just recently, that attack was implemented. Listen to this. Man tied to pro-Israel extremists accused of targeting Palestinian activists. Let's get into it. There's Nardine there. So let me get into this part here. The NYPD and federal authorities disrupted what officials described as a plot by a member of a pro-Israel terrorist organization to assassinate the leader of one of New York's most active pro-Palestinian protest groups. Members of the FBI and the Police Department Joint Terrorism Task Force notified the activist, Nardine Kiswani, and her lawyer late Thursday that an arrest had been made in connection with an imminent attempt on her life. The man who was arrested, Alexander Heffler, 26 years old, of Hoboken, New Jersey, was taken into custody after detectives and federal agents searched his apartment and found 8 Molotov cocktails. 26 years old, willing to throw away his entire future because of supremacy. A police official said Friday that Mr. Heffler was a member of the JDL 613 Brotherhood, which was inspired by the Jewish Defense League, a pro-Israel group designated by the FBI as a terrorist organization. Representatives of the JDL and its offshoot did not immediately reply to messages for a comment, obviously. Heffler was charged Friday morning in a 2-count criminal complaint with making and possessing the devices and appeared in federal court in Newark hours later. The complaint did not specify a motive for the planned attack, which was laid out in detail. If convicted, Mr. Heffler could face up to 20 years in prison. The complaint said the plan had been in work since at least February. Mr. Heffler discussed building and using Molotov cocktails for what he described as a self-defense on a group video called that included an undercover detective. So notice how he was ready to use the self-defense claim, even though he was the one who was initiating it. Prosecutors said that in the complaint, Mr. Heffler and the undercover detective met in person the next day and then twice more in the weeks that followed, including on Thursday when they built the 8 Molotov cocktails together in Mr. Heffler's home. He was arrested shortly thereafter. So this was someone who was working undercover that this guy apparently trusted enough to bring back home with him and make those cocktails with in person. Like I said, you never know who's working for the feds. You never know. It goes on to say here, Mr. Heffler planned to use the devices to target Ms. Kawani, 31, the co-founder of the pro-Palestinian group Within Our Lifetime. He was ordered held without bail after a brief court appearance in which he told the magistrate, Stacey D. Adams, that he understood the charges he faced. He did not appear to have any family members or friends with him in court. He was represented by a public defender. He swayed and fidgeted nervously in his chair. Goes on to say here, the complaint said that components to make the Molotov cocktails have been found in his apartment, including a large bottle of Everclear, a liquor with a high alcohol content. While making the weapons, Mr. Heffler told the undercover detective that he planned to throw some of them at cars and at least one directly at Miss Kiwani's home. After making those weapons, law enforcement officers executed a federal search warrant for his apartment. The complaint said Mr. Heffler had originally planned to flee the United States 2 days after the intended attack, but he told the undercover detective that his travel plans had been pushed to the middle of May. Of course, where do you think he was going to go? He was going to flee to Israel, where he would be protected. This is very scary. You know, I said the theme is people may surprise you. Like, you never know. You never know. And had it not been for that guy working undercover, who knows? This is him here. This is Alexander Heffler, allegedly. This guy was willing to throw away, 26 years old, was willing to throw away his entire life because of hate, because of supremacy. There's more about it that you guys need to see. When you look at Batar Worldwide, they too also came after Nardine. Nardine Kiswani, you have terrorized America and New York for much too long. We have had enough and will not stop. You hate America and you hate Jews, and we are here and won't be silent. $1,800 to anyone who hands that jihadi a beeper. That was stated by Batar Worldwide in January of 2025. They have been threatening her. Again, this is someone who's a mom. Elon's ex didn't want to take that down. You go on to see here, Laura Loomer also cheering on for the same organization. Gen X girl said, well, so the person who plotted an assassination attempt on Nardine Kiswani was a member of the Jewish Defense League, the JDL. On December 15th, 2025, Laura Loomer said to bring back the JDL to patrol every city in the U.S. Why isn't the FBI investigating Laura Loomer? You know why? Because I believe she's a Fed. These are just some of the things that she was saying at that point in time. Mir Kahani was right about everything. Then he was shot and killed by a Muslim in New York City for being right. We need to bring back the JDL. Bring back the JDL in every city. That's what Laura Loomer said. Let's go to part 2 here, Eric, for Type VNC. Because the point that I want to make to everyone is this. People need to understand these organizations and these individuals that are able to just make these threats to people. How are their accounts still online? How is it that someone like Garland Nixon can get permanently locked out of his Twitter account for saying ending the wars, but these organizations and Laura Loomer, they can make threats on someone's life and they're still there? So you got to ask, like, who's doing the protecting here? Leo Terrell, who appears a lot on Fox News, also came after Nardine. Leo Terrell, a senior DOJ official heading the federal task force to combat anti-Semitism, is publicly inciting against me while I face assassination plot and blocking me from his official government account. Blocking critics on an official platform raises serious First Amendment concerns. Terrell is aligned with Dov Hikind, a former JDL member, and has publicly supported him in his work. The person arrested for the assassination attempt against me is a member of a JDL offshoot. The rot is deep. This is Leo Terrell here. That's him. He retweeted Eyal Yacobi here, and he said, he shot an account here, saves lives. These people are evil. Does she have a job, employer? Question mark about Nardine. You guys seen Leo before. He comes on Fox News a lot. These people have no shame. You see this? So, yeah, he was connected to Dov Hickend. They've been attacking her. I want you to hear like what the JDL even said here. This is how insane this is. Listen to this.
Time for Jewish unity. Achdut. Put your differences aside. I don't care what kind of Jew you are. Left wing, right wing, religious, secular, from, Ashkenazi, Sephardi. It doesn't matter. Jews need to stick together and support each other, especially right now. We're under attack. The Muslims want to kill us. The Muslims hate us. There's no compromise. There's no appeasement. There's no negotiating. There's no making deals. Okay? Don't be afraid of them.
So do you see? And this is the mild part. This is what they believed, that the Muslims wanted to kill and hate them, etc. It gets crazier. Listen to this.
Don't trust them. Don't be friends with them. Have nothing to do with them. In fact, we should be gathering intelligence against them, spying on them, following them, finding out where they live, finding out where they work, and stalking them at their mosques, protesting at their mosques, harassing them, and giving them no peace for the Muslims and their fake religion of peace and their fake false prophet, the pedophile warlord, Muhammad. May his name be erased. Fuck Islam. Fuck Muslims. I don't care. I'm sorry for cussing. Pardon my French. But the time for being nice is over.
No.
So just to give you an idea, that's the kind of things that the JDL was saying. That's wild. That's wild. So that kind of energy. And let me show you another one that may be a surprise to some. Today, we learned that the JDL plotted to assassinate an American. The assassin was apprehended in Hoboken, New Jersey. Check this out. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker follows JTF, an affiliate of the JDL. JTF's former founder is former JDL. Watch JTF and JDL discuss JDL's terrorism, reviving JDL in the U.S., not caring what Goyim think, and invoking Genesis to claim Christians have to support Israel. Laura Loomer, who called for the revival of the JDL, is regularly tagged by the JDL on their posts. And you'll see it right here. JTF, which is a segment, a fraction of the JDL, it says it right here. Cory Booker follows them. This is why I told you his announcement that he's not going to take corporate PAC money anymore, which includes APAC anymore. This is why I told you don't fall for that shit. So I'll let you hear some of this here.
Shalom and welcome to Listen World, Listen Jew, a series dedicated to unfiltered voices, untold stories, and the unyielding spirit of the Jewish people. In a world that often turns a deaf ear to our truths, we invite you to listen closely to hear the echoes of history, resilience, and hope that define us. Today, we begin with a powerhouse of conviction and action. Please join me in welcoming Chaim Ben Pesach, former chairman of the Jewish Defense League, founder of the Jewish Task Force, and a lifelong warrior for Jewish rights and dignity. Chaim, it's an honor to have you here. What message do you have for the world listening today?
My message, I have two messages. I have one for the Jews and one for the righteous Gentiles. My message for the Jews is that they have to wake up. They have a special mission that they have to carry out, that Hashem demands of them, that we live in very exciting times, but we have to understand the nature of the challenges that we're facing. And for the righteous Gentiles, I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee, it says in Bereshit, the book of Genesis in the Bible. They have to also support Israel and the Jews.
And that's something that I've been pushing in some of our articles lately and to some of our members is that, you know, let's stop caring what the Goyim think. They're going to think what they're going to, you know, we already know what they're
You guys hear this?
going to think. We already know what they're going to say. So what's the point of even caring? You know what I mean? Let's do what's right for Jews. Jews first. You know what I mean?
So I can only listen to so much of this. This is absolutely insane. But people had reason for, you know, cause of concern. And the fact that Nardine was warning people a year prior that they were threatening, making threats on her life, Nardine was not protected. Think about that for a second. Nardine had physical threats on her life and she was not protected. Had it not been for that undercover agent or whatever, who just happened to be in the right place, the right time, had it not been for that, Nardine could have been attacked. So these are the kind of things that I said before. People need to look out for each other. Nobody deserves that. And I say, you know, like people may surprise you or whatever. I've heard some vile things, but holy crap. And she's a mother. And don't sleep on Richie, because Richie Torres is also associated with, I just want you to understand who is associated with these violent organizations. Richie Torres was still hanging out with the Batar guys. He did an event with them. So this was an event. Congressman Richie Torres will be joining us along Modest Yahoo and Kosha Dills. More to follow. Please support a great cause. Thank you. This is Chabad Loft NYC, Israel Friends. This event happened. Modest Yahoo is another one where like he tried to, I used to like Modest Yahoo's music. I used to like his music, but he was another one where I noticed something about him when he would be confronted on podcasts about like the Israel, like Palestine, like he would always like basically try to defer or be like, well, you know, I don't really get into that or da-da-da-da. And I was like, nah, bro. So I had to start looking a little bit more like into him. And I'm like, nah, bro. And when you see who he's associated with, then you start to understand he believes all this shit too. Modest Yahoo, for the longest time, he tried not to answer that question when people would interview him. But you see, he a part of the same group. All connected. So you live and you learn, guys. You live and you learn. All I'm going to say is I'm glad that Nardine is safe. But this time, you know, Nardine, but it could have happened to anyone in New York, anyone in Chicago, anyone in Los Angeles, anyone anywhere in the world. And notice you don't hear the outcry from Caroline Leavitt or Pam Bondi or Donald Trump right now saying we must protect the Muslim people in this country. Do you hear them saying that? No. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Oh, actually, I'll leave those for Eric. We'll keep it moving and grooving to the next story. Okay, let's keep moving and grooving to the next story. Oh boy, I know. People are not happy about this one. If you have not done so, ladies and gents, please be sure to smash that like button. Thank you. And we'll keep it moving and grooving. My favorite R&B female group / R&B / rap female group of all time is TLC. I've always loved TLC. ever since their first album, they were just so different, right? I mean, they brought you hits like a scrub is a guy who thinks he's flying, also known as a buster. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. What about your friends? I can't sing like them, but you guys get where I'm going. They brought you those kind of hits. But now, one of the members of TLC may be wondering, what about her friends? Are her friends going to be there to protect her? Because now there is a report that alleges that Chilli from TLC donated to Donald Trump. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to tell you what I think about this. I first saw this article here from Midas Touch. Chilli has issued a response. We'll get into this as well. Exclusive. TLC's Chilli donated to Donald Trump. FEC records reveal the singer, known for Waterfalls and No More Scrubs, made multiple donations to MAGA Republicans. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, people saw this on social media and lost their shit. People said, oh my God, not Chilli. No way. I didn't freak the way that other people did, but people are really not happy. And I think the reason some people are like, holy crap, is because of the things that TLC sang about, right? Like TLC had songs about promiscuity. Like they literally had a song. Like, look at this. They literally had a song called The Red Light Special, which was about, oral. They had a song called Ain't Too Proud to Beg, which was about not being too proud to beg for sex with your significant other. They used to wear like condoms on their clothes along with band-aids and stuff when they first came out. But as much as everybody seems to remember TLC for the song Waterfalls, on that same album, they had a song called Creep, which was literally about cheating. So people are like, when you compare it to the songs that TLC sang, why would Chilli be conservative, right? So I knew that Chilli was very religious. I've known that for quite some time. But also I think that people kind of need to realize that there's a difference between performing and what you do in your personal life. When TLC was put together as a group, it was Pebbles, if I remember correctly. It was Pebbles who decided she wanted to create a female version of Belle Biv DeVoe. So at that point, BBD was really big. They had a big hit, a song called Poison. And she wanted to replicate that, but with women. So they were put together. This is important for people to get. They were put together just because they were singing those things. And especially since they didn't write the songs, that doesn't mean that they were necessarily practicing that in their personal lives. So I think people need to take that into consideration, right? I can see people singing along in the chat. So let's get into it. According to FEC records uncovered by Midas Touch, one member of TLC apparently went from I don't want no scrubs to actually donating to them. Federal political donation records from a Rosanda Thomas of Stone Mountain, Georgia, an address publicly associated with TLC vocalist Chilli, shows contributions to MAGA Republicans. A scrub is a guy that thinks he's flying, also known as a buster. The records show money being given during the 2024 election cycle to Trump's PACs, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which seeks to keep the GOP in control of Congress, and Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. In total, Chilli contributions captured in these filings amount to just under $900, with nearly $800 going to Trump, $63 going to the NRSC, and $7 going to Ted Cruz. Here is the documentation here. So they have the FEC filings. This is another thing too. Like Midas Touch did come forward with the receipts. Recipient Trump National Committee. Let me just bring something up here for just a second. For those who did not know, when you donate money to a politician, that is public record. That's important when you hear what she said, because we're going to get to her response. The singer recently drew attention online after screenshots circulating showing that she was allegedly reposted and debunked a debunked conspiracy about Michelle Obama. According to YourWeb, Chilli reshared an Instagram post that promoted a false claim that the former First Lady is transgender and was registered to vote as a man in Illinois in 1994. Now, from what I understand, this post has since been deleted, but they were able to get a screenshot of it here. That's July 22nd, 2022. So you can see here where it was part of her images here, where she did share that. That's important because when you see the video response that Chilli made, as big as this is, Michelle Obama registered to vote as a man, I don't see how she could have missed that, but we'll get to that in just a second. The post, which no longer appears on Chilli's page, sparked fan speculation about her political leanings. The post itself is still up on the original account, which also shares flat earth, 9/11, lizard people, weather manipulation, medical, and other conspiracy theories. Like I said, from what I understand, she has now removed this. So many of you may be wondering, why did they go back and check for this, right? I don't know if someone was looking for it or if someone just happened to see it and it got around. Some followers wondered whether the waterfall singer has now been creeping into MAGA political waters. According to FEC records, Chilli donations were all made in 2024, financially supporting Trump as he attempted to make a political comeback after his attempt to overturn the 2020 election. They also noticed that she's following MAGA Republicans. As you can see the image here, she's following or was following Byron Donalds. That was one of the ones that they pointed out, again, allegedly. Jacko Bowens, or maybe she wasn't following that person, but Byron Donalds is the one. Now, what about her friends? Chilli also follows pro-Trump influencers known for posting MAGA content, and Florida Representative Byron Donalds. They also pointed out Terrence K. Williams, who's a comedian, Donald Trump Jr. This is who they said she was following. Tommy Loren, Newsmax. She may have unfollowed these accounts now. I don't know. On X, they told you who she follows there. Now, people are probably wondering, what about T-Boz? Because Left Eye is no longer with us. People ask me this, by the way. Left Eye was my favorite member of TLC. Because you knew, like with Left Eye, especially with the fast songs, at some point, there was going to be that Left Eye rap, right? Left Eye really brought some energy there. And it kind of pissed me off, like on the radio, when they would play Waterfalls, they would not play the version with Left Eye's rap. What was up with that? Anywho, T-Boz, as far as other TLC members go, in 2018, T-Boz Watkins joined the progressive organization Healthcare Voter, sharing her story about managing sickle cell and advocating for protecting the Affordable Care Act. And of course, you guys know Left Eye died in a car accident in 2002. So Chilli has responded. And again, I noticed a lot of people melting down about this on social media. And I just have to remind people once again, it's like, you don't know these people. You don't know them. You don't know Chilli. I mean, I love TLC, but I don't know them personally. You don't know these people. Two, one thing to consider, and I want people to really think about this. Chilli is not in a position of power. Chilli's not a politician. You know, do I like that she donated money to Donald Trump? No. But don't take your eye off the ball of the people who are in position of power that have been donating money to Donald Trump that influenced his decisions, like Miriam Adelson. Now, she did respond. Here's one of the responses that I want to show you here. Chilli of TLC releasing a press release saying she's not a Republican, but her following list says differently. So I just want to show you this. First of all, she doesn't say she's not a Republican. That person said there on the X account, but here it says, I want to be clear, I am not MAGA and do not support any of the many policies that are causing great harm to the American people. I made a mistake too many make. I did not read the fine print. I thought I was supporting cause that was against human trafficking and for veterans. Two things I care deeply about, as my dad is a veteran and everyone knows I love children. I have learned a valuable lesson and ask for grace as I navigate this. Love, Chilli. So she doesn't actually say she's not a Republican. She says that she's not MAGA. Wanted to point that out as well. And here is the actual video apology from Chilli here. And as you're going to notice, Notori pointed this out on Twitter. She seems a little bit panicked, and I'm going to explain to you why in just a second. Listen to this.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here to address a few things that's circulating on the internet that's very concerning to me. Let me say this first. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Michelle Obama, and I would never say or do anything that is disrespectful to her or to any woman. I would never do that. And I had no clue that this repost had happened until I started getting phone calls and text messages from everybody, and I immediately went to my page to see what was going on. Now, mind you, I'm not very computer savvy, so I'm looking for this repost button, and I see that all of these buttons are very, very close to each other. And clearly I was scrolling and my thumb hit the repost button. Again, I had no clue that something like this happened until I got all the calls. But of course, I took that down, and, you know, I would never post anything like that. I would never do something like that. That is not my character.
What do you guys think? Do you think it was an accident, that she didn't mean to repost it? I mean, these things can happen. It's possible. I'm not on Instagram like that as much as some people. Some people on Instagram a lot, but do you guys think that this was just an accident, that she accidentally reposted it? But then my question is, if that was an accident, I guess she didn't see it ever, like on her page. Like she didn't realize that was on her page the whole time, or I don't know. Like I said, it's been deleted, so you can't check it now to see when she reposted it. Clever said, you're not buying it. Yeah, I know some people told me they don't believe it. Let me continue.
I have supported the Obamas. I gave to the campaign, both runs, voted twice for him, and supported the organization that Michelle had in the schools for exercise for the kids. I would never do anything that's harmful or hateful to anybody. You know, I'm just not wired like that. That's just not who I am. And when it comes to organizations that I have donated to, these are the things that support the veterans. You know, I have always supported them, not just now, but for years. This is not something new.
But the donations, like the donations were donated to, this is the part I really, so she donated to Trump. She's saying she thought that she was donating to the veterans. How is that possible? We'll go back and look at that receipt in just a second.
So I just wanted to let you guys know, you know, this from me, you know, that I would never do anything so disrespectful, and I would just never I'm just not about hate or anything like that. You know, if you look on my page and see my posts, it's all about love, faith, and connection. That's what I'm all about, you know, and I've always been that way, and I will continue to be just that way. So I just want to thank you guys for, you know, your love and your support, and just taking the time to listen to me right now. I really, really appreciate that. And I love you guys. Thank you so much.
So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you why I think she seems kind of panicked in that video in just a second. My whole thing is like, whoever people donated money to, just own it. Just own it. Like, if you donated money to Trump, own it. Whether you like Trump now or not. If you donated money to Biden, own it. Whether you still like him now or not, just own it. Just be it is what it is. But I'm having a very difficult time trying to figure out how she thought she was donating to veterans when, if we look at the receipt, let me go back here to that receipt here. Let's pull this back up. When you look at the FEC, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know what I'm donating to. So it's like National Republican Senatorial Committee. That's what she donated to. So she knew she was donating to the NRSC. That's like someone donating to the one for the Democratic Party. That's like someone donating to Act Blue and then saying, "Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was just donating to the veterans." So it is right there. And my whole thing is Chilli, honey, if that's what you did, just own it. Just own it. I think more people would have respected that. Like, if you just own the fact that, well, yeah, I did do this and this is the reason why. Just own it. Will people still be upset? Yeah. But own it. Now, let me tell you why she panicking in that video. Because Chilli, along with Salt and Pepper and In Vogue and her comrade T-Boz from TLC, they're all going on tour. They're going on tour together. All three of these groups. And the tour starts in August of this year. It was advertised recently. I saw it on Facebook. I had reshared it on Facebook as well when it was announced. TLC, Salt and Pepper with In Vogue. And they're starting in Franklin, Tennessee. It goes all the way to October 11th in Concord, California. So this is a big thing. Now, let me tell you what I think may have happened behind the scenes. I don't know. Salt and Pepper might have... I'm wondering if either Salt or Pepper said, "Girl, you better fix this." Because we are going on tour with you, and now people are pointing fingers at us. That could be part of it, right? But for the people who are surprised, people have to understand again, like celebrities, a lot of them, they are in an income bracket that we're not in. That's why I understand, like, when people get confused by, like, especially musicians, these musicians that are hanging out with right wingers or Republicans or donating to Republicans, they are looking out for their financial interests. So for some of them that donated or supported Donald Trump, they were like, yeah, he's going to look out for people like me. He ain't going to look out for us, the working class, but they ain't thinking about us. They don't even know us. That's why you see some of that. That's why you see some of those musicians and they be rubbing elbows with the Trumps and all. That's why, because they're like, well, they're actually going to make sure that I don't get taxed as much. Now, I don't know what her reason all this behind this. I don't know. But all I can say is at this point in time, Chilli, you might want to just own it. Now, that does bring up other issues, right? because she's going on this tour and you never know what you're going to get in the audience. And there could be people that are angry that are there saying, boo, boo, when her and T-Boss come out on the stage. I don't know. Salt and Pepper could be sitting and they could be sitting there looking back like, now you fucking up our money. I don't know. That's the thing about doing these tours with a collaborative, these collaborative groups. That's the only thing about doing that type of tour. If one person in the tour fuck up, everybody money might be affected. But I think what people do have to understand, and I want people to take from this, is the fact that, number one, you don't know these people. Number two, Black voters aren't a monolith. I've been trying to explain this to people for a long time. Black voters are not a monolith. Three, just because she supported and donated to Obama doesn't mean she didn't turn around and started supporting and donating to Trump. There have been people who have done that. And I think last but not least, I think that people need to take that energy and that frustration and anger that they have towards Chile, and they really need to be calling out the people in power. Yeah, it sucks that she donated money to Donald Trump. But you know who else donated money to Donald Trump? Miriam Adelson. Millions and millions and millions of dollars, and it's actually influencing his policy. So I think what people should pay attention to is people in power that have the ability, their money has the ability to influence policy. Chilli, I know you broke some people's hearts. I don't know if you're going to be chasing them waterfalls or what, but just be real about it at this point. She has definitely surprised some people. Definitely surprised some people. All right, ladies and gents, we have one more story for you, and this is a pretty interesting one. If you got the money, I guess, to watch the full thing. That's the unfortunate part about it. But Tucker Carlson has released a docuseries called The Bibi Files, where it actually shows some of the interrogation that Benjamin Netanyahu, has been going through. Also, Miriam Adelson getting interrogated. And there's something that she said in this video that he dropped on X that is very, 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 very like, whoa, I can't believe she said that. But again, like, she didn't know that this would get out to people. It has people giving cause for concern. Let's go ahead and get into it. This was Tucker Carlson announcing that series here.
Well, you probably heard a lot about the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, on this show and elsewhere. He's the guy who's always at the White House working to suck the United States into some war of conquest on behalf of his country. But what you may not know is that the charges against Netanyahu are real. Corruption charges. They tell you a lot about him. What exactly do you know about this man who's apparently in charge of the United States?
Yeah, the corruption charges, that's the thing. That's another reason why Benjamin Netanyahu has been trying to find ways to stay in power so that he can't actually be charged. This is another reason why. Because as long as he keeps bombing and he keeps wars happening, then the people are less likely to not reelect him. So he's trying not to go to jail, essentially.
Well, we are now streaming The Bibi Files. It's a documentary that pulls back the curtain on Benjamin Netanyahu. This film traces the rise of the longest-serving prime minister in the history of Israel and the corruption cases surrounding him. Hear from former staff and Israeli insiders describing what Benjamin Netanyahu is really like, and see leaked interrogation footage from his corruption investigations. Video that you were not meant to see and that they definitely don't want you to see. The Bibi Files, it offers a rare look inside Israel's power structure and the man whose decisions have once again drawn our country into another war, a big war. You can stream it now only at tuckercarlson.com.
So I haven't seen a free version of this just yet. But this is something I guess you have to be a member of his show or his website here to be able to see the full thing. If you know of a free version, like, let me know. But I would say, I wish he didn't paywall this. And I get it. People are like, well, we got to make our money and da-da-da. Yeah, well, I made a documentary too, but it's free. I didn't paywall it. So this is not something I think should be paywalled. Someone let Tucker know. Anyhow, I do want to show you a couple of clips from it here that he did share on X, where we lied to about Benjamin Netanyahu's dealings with Hamas. Watch the Bibi files now. Check this part out here.
Netanyahu was all the time helping Hamas to survive. He arranged for Hamas to receive $35 million every month from Qatar. Suitcases of money was given to Hamas under the request of Benjamin Netanyahu personally. And because the Qatarians knew him from the beginning, they were asking him to send them his requests in writing because they knew that he's going to lie in the future.
He allowed more than 1 billion to be transferred to the hands of the Hamas because he believed that he can control the level of hatred.
Your strategy was sustain the extremists, weaken the moderate. This exploded in our faces.
Let me just pause here for a second because some people have said it is. Oh, thank you. Okay, correction. Sure, a couple people are telling me it's free on YouTube. Thank you, guys. Okay, that's good to know. All right. Okay, I can check it out then. Wanted to make that correction. But this is what I wanted to tell you guys about Benjamin Netanyahu giving that money to Hamas, right? So when this docuseries was released, there was a number of people on social media that said, oh my God, it turns out that Benjamin Netanyahu gave money to Hamas. This is how I know that people still kind of remain in their echo chambers, right? Because like those of us on the left have been talking about that for years. For years, we've been telling people that Benjamin Netanyahu actually funded Hamas. So I'm starting to see that like on social media, it's like, but now because Tucker Carlson has covered it and it's out there, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this. But this is why people, you got to watch different things. You got to watch across the political spectrum. But yeah, this is what we tried to explain to people for years. When people say, well, Hamas didn't build, scientific buildings and they didn't invest in the city. They built tunnels and da-da-da-da. But when you hear those debates on Piers Morgan, oftentimes the pro-Israel side won't tell you how Hamas got the money to begin with. That money was given to them by Benjamin Netanyahu. And his whole idea was that I'll fund them and that way I can control it and keep it at bay. First of all, when someone is occupied and you give them money, I'm of the belief that you don't get to tell them how to spend it. When you cage people in and you said, here's all this money for you, you do not get to tell people how to spend that money. That's how I see it. But I'm glad more people are aware of this now, that he gave them that money.
Weaken the moderate. This exploded in our faces in the most brutal way on October 7th.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So he gave that money. And I do have 2 samples here of interrogations that I do want to show you. The first part is this guy here. Over 1,000 hours of police interrogation tapes, a documentary so damning Netanyahu personally went to an Israeli court to try to kill it. By the way, I think the Bibi files are banned in Israel. So
we got over 1,000 hours of tapes. These were interviews with Netanyahu by the police. Netanyahu himself went to court in Israel to try to stop the premiere of the film at Toronto. He was utterly unsuccessful. But I should note that the American media played a kind of unseemly role in the sense that we went to NBC first and we were going to do a rather big piece in advance of the premiere. And then we were told at the last minute that, NBC has decided we're not going to do the story because it would probably upset Netanyahu and that would limit our access to the prime minister.
They said that?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
They said that?
Yes.
Yeah, man. It's so much stuff that's coming out about this. And then you guys get to really see just how corrupt things are, including check this video here out. Shout out to Hotspot. Netanyahu on video admitting to funding Hamas. So pay close attention now.
אבל אנחנו שולטים על גובה הלהבות. תרתי משמע.
Okay, so he says, but we control the height of the flames.
The public blames Netanyahu for October 7th as the one who fed the beast. He did not create Hamas, but he fed it.
Netanyahu, who is against peace and who is against having a Palestinian state, dealt with Hamas for a long time as a strategic friend.
So he said, this is confidential and can't be leaked. We have neighbors here, sworn enemies. I'm constantly passing them messages. You guys see this? If the Israelis actually really gave a damn, you know what I mean? They would all join together, oust this motherfucker, tell him to get the fuck out, and they would change their belief system. By belief system, I mean like this supremacy ideology. They would abandon Zionism and they would start anew if they had the sense. I confused them, misled them, lied to them, and then hit them over their heads.
It was important for him to keep Gaza under the control of Hamas and keeping the West Bank under the control of Fatah. And
to keep Gaza under the control of Hamas, as much as he claims he had a problem with Hamas being in control of the Palestinian people in Gaza. You see this?
And preventing them from being united in any way. In order to do so, Netanyahu was all the time helping Hamas to survive.
At the same time that he was under investigation, he arranged for Hamas to receive $35 million every month from Qatar.
Netanyahu can't give the money by himself. Israel will not give money to the Hamas. You cannot even transfer this money through banks because even the banks don't want to cooperate.
So imagine that. So again, $30 million, $35 million every month. He arranged for Hamas to get that money. But then he later complains about Hamas.
You, the Israeli Prime Minister, needs to beg this small and very rich country, Qatar, to give money to our enemy.
These suitcases of money were...
So did everybody catch that? How he said that there at the end? He still sees them. Listen to this.
To give money to our enemy.
See how he called them the enemy? So I have to watch the docuseries, but what it seems like to me is these insiders from Israel, they're trying to make this all about Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So they're going to talk, tell the truth about him and tell everybody how corrupt and evil he is, but they still don't want anything to do with the Palestinian people. Do you get what I'm saying? This is why I get nervous when people say, oh, we can just criticize Netanyahu, because when you just leave it at that, that means that you're no longer going to be criticizing Zionism, which is a supremacy ideology. Netanyahu can be replaced with another person the next day. As long as Zionism is there, you still have this issue.
These suitcases of money was given to Hamas under the request of Benjamin Netanyahu.
So that's one of the clips there where they talk about that, again, that money. But the one I think that's the most damning is the one with Miriam Adelson. So you guys got to see this one. Israeli-American billionaire Miriam Adelson on Netanyahu. If this comes out, I'm dead, she says. So here's another clip here. This is during an interrogation, excuse me.
Some of the witnesses were interrogated twice, 3 times, 4 times. You have a rare opportunity to see the most powerful people in Israel in interrogation rooms dealing with questions that were never been asked. What did you give? What did you get? How many times you met him? And you see people in the most tense part of their life.
יכול להיות שכתבו האלה לזוגות, אבל אנחנו שומעים תמיד שאנחנו נמצאים איתם.
למה תמיד אתם משלמים?
שאל אותנו. כל הדברים זה לא אשם.
So, back up here, why do you always pay?
שאל אותנו.
Ask them.
כל הדברים זה לא אשם.
So this is Miriam Adelson, and she said all of Bibi's friends are rich. So that's the essence of your friendship? Money? What can I say? If this comes out, I'm dead. That's coming from Miriam Adelson. Everybody see this?
Get me a Cohiba Renegades bear. That's what he asked for. $1,100 for a box of 10. Wow.
מה שתרצו ניתן, אבל לא יודע אם יש משהו שהוא פלילי עכשיו, אני לא יודע. בדיוק, זאת השאלה, אם יש משהו, אנחנו בודקים, אוקיי.
They said we're reviewing criminal activity. There was a whole industry that until today.
סוג של תעשייה שעד היום... שעוסקת במה? שעוסקת בוא נקרא לזה...
An industry of what? An industry of high value gifts that you can't even imagine. From who to who, and without specifying which gifts at which time periods. From super wealthy millionaires to Sarah and Bibi.
Netanyahu, he keeps surrounding, almost in every part in the world, someone like a sugar daddy. Everything you need that is not supported by the country, he will do it for you. But when those guys has interest in Israel, business interest or some other interest, then it became very, very problematic.
השאלה הראשונה שלנו כלפיך זה אם קיבלת איזושהי טובת הנאה אתה או מי מבני משפחתך בעשור האחרון מאנשי עסקים.
So this one here says, have you received any gifts or favors from wealthy businessmen in the last decade?
בעלי הון.
אם קיבלתי טובת הנאה, קיבלתי דברים מחברים קרובים, ידידים קרובים, כגון סיגרים, דברים מהסוג הזה.
He said if he received any gifts, he received them from friends or close acquaintances, gifts like cigars and things like that. But also not from close friends. Oh, hold on. That's not an illegal gift. Please tell us who are these close friends. And what did you get from them? And he says very close friends. And of course, then it stops there. Yeah. So he said very close friends. What about your friends? That's right, Miguel. But it looks like we can see this now on YouTube. So I'll check it out. But ladies and gents, I will say when you watch this, though, don't watch this and then just have this impression that it's just Benjamin Netanyahu. If they replace Benjamin Netanyahu, then the problem goes away, because it's not. Israel had this supremacy long before Benjamin Netanyahu was the prime minister. Max Blumenthal said, many times that he's been there, that a lot of the Israelis actually are to the right of Benjamin Netanyahu. They feel that he hasn't gone far enough. So something to keep in mind. But I do think it's good for people to see this docuseries, because people really need to see that, especially with him, it's not just about bombing and killing. Benjamin Netanyahu is facing serious charges, serious corruption charges in his own country. And as long as he continues to bomb and keep the wars going, he knows he's not going to be voted out. So he kind of stays in there. What I think was surprising about this was the statement from Miriam Adelson, like when she said, "Oh, she could get killed for that." I wouldn't expect her to be fearful of Netanyahu. I would expect it to be the other way around, because she has more power than he does. So that leads me to believe that it's not just Benjamin Netanyahu, as we discovered before in the Epstein files. It's, like I said, it's a global network of powerful people abusing that power and blackmailing people. Things to think about. Jean said they don't even think it's wrong. Exactly. And some of them that you hear like crying and complaining about it, the attacks and everything right now, they don't want to be hit with, they don't want Tel Aviv to be bombed. But some of those people are on camera saying that they just want him to go ahead and just use the nuclear weapon. That's why I said, I was like, dude, there's no redeeming that place, man. The only way that place, like, in my opinion, the only way that place gets redeemed is if you give the Palestinians their land back. And people say, well, where will the Israelis go? Don't know. Not my problem. They took the land from them. So that's the only way I would see it. But you're talking about years of brainwashing and supremacy. It's a wild place, man. These people are wild. It's crazy, man. Crazy times. But check it out. I'll check it out as well, now that I know this is free on YouTube. So I'll let you know what I think. All right, ladies and gents, that is it for me. All right.
With the Marian Adelson part, what it makes me think of is Billionaire infighting. And they're cutthroat with each other. And so I think that's what she's fearful of, and that she gets on the wrong side of one of the other billionaires, and maybe they're connected with deep state, and who knows. So
that's a good point. Okay, I didn't think about that. That's a really good point, because I was like, why was she's more powerful than him, so what would she be afraid of? But now I see it. Mm-hmm. That is it for me tonight, ladies and gents. Eric is going to read the rest of the super chats and close out the show and tell you about our panel that will be coming up Tuesday evening. So have a good night.
Yes, our next live show. But we're going to let Sabby go on her Sunday for now. And you can see her on Tuesday. All right. Yeah. As mentioned by Sabrina here, is on our next live show here, which will be this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern at the usual start time. We'll have a couple hours of stories as usual. And then Tuesday at 9 p.m., we're going to have an 11 Demands Candidates Forum. And yeah, so this is Tuesday. So we'll start the forum on 9 p.m. We'll get 4 of these fine candidates in there. This is all independent and Green Party candidates, and it'll be running live. You'll have them on there. You'll have Sabby on there, at least on the beginning part, and of course I'll be on there. On our panel, we'll have Anthony Ellis running for governor of Maryland. You'll have Lieutenant Colonel retired Anthony Aguilar, who we've all seen around these parts. We will have Mr. Jose Vega running as independent against Richie Torres. And we will have representing the West Coast, Justin Phillip, who's running for Congress in Oregon. And so this post here, actually, I'll put this post in our chat as well. This post is on the came through on the 11 Demand Substack today. So please do, if you haven't subscribed yet to the 11 Demand Substack, please do do that. That'll help you keep up with all things 11 Demands, including nice announcements like this. Yeah, so this should be a really good conversation. Also, the previous post through 11 Demand Substack was this one, which I talked about at the end of the last show, the MCDS playbook for candidates. So if you haven't had a chance yet, you can also check out that post talking about how MCDS can be a good framework for understanding how power operates. It can also be a good framework for evaluating candidates and looking at what we're seeing in a candidate. It's easy to get cynical and just be taking the position that voting doesn't matter, voting doesn't help things. As long as the ballot only has viable candidates from the duopoly, right, from Democratic and Republican Party, then yeah, I can see that point of view of voting that doesn't get us anywhere, hasn't gotten us anywhere. If we have a yardstick for evaluating candidates like 11 Demands and MCDS, then we can start to say, okay, here are some candidates who do align with my and our interests and beliefs. So that's a lot of what MCDS and 11 Demands is about. So there was this post from the other day, the playbook for candidates that got into, the money, the corruption, having real demands. And it's also important. And this is actually a big part of, in my opinion, what a movement around something like 11 Demands should also have a big part are the solutions. There are a lot of commenters out there, ones that I respect, that never quite get to demands and solutions. And so that's part of this whole thing as well, of the potential of getting to a better world. So you can check out all stuff like that on the old 11demands.org website. And I think we're going to have a really good conversation on Tuesday. As always, keep up with it there at old 11demands.org. And we'll see what we get from it. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. All right. Now, we still have a little bit of business here to take care of on our Sunday. We had a really good conversation earlier there with Sabrina and Colonel Wilkerson. And we had a lot of eyeballs too. I think we got up to about 11,000 live viewers, and it kind of tapered off a little bit after that. So maybe they were here for the Colonel or liking the Iran talk, but we've been getting good numbers generally, so we can't complain about that too much. Let's see what we got in the queue. I see one very generous one here. Thanks much from Bronco 305 to 954 with this generous super chat, who says, keep up the good work. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. And thanks for this also generous super chat from Ray, who says, I remember Rachel Corrie. She was only 23. Rachel Corrie was killed by an Israeli military bulldozer protesting against settlement activity in Israel. She was very young. You have these people that really stand out. There was the poet Rafit, who was killed early on by Israel. You have the child there that was anyways. There are definitely these people that stand out, and you just have the mass carnage that, you had this carnage happening in Gaza even before this this war reached the next phase. It keeps becoming a thing that's worse than you could imagine it has gotten to. So it's our job here on what I might call the real left, or maybe the demands-based left, hopefully a demands-based movement, to take that energy and turn it into something real. We've had, there were big No Kings protests on Saturday, and you'll probably notice that, we didn't talk about it much on this show. I think we'll try to bring it up on Tuesday, but, to the extent that it is talked about on a number of like these kind of independent shows, it's met with, I don't know if scorn is the word, but it's looked at dubiously. And the reason is because it just seems to be a Democratic Party pep rally. I looked at the stories on the No Kings March in Boston and who was going to be speaking. And you have Maura Healey, the Democratic governor, I think Ayanna Pressley, and it's just yes, it's getting rid of Trump, impeaching and removing Trump is definitely a goal and a thing that should be done and talked about, but that just needs to be the start. And the problem with No Kings, as a lot of us see it, is that they don't attack the real issues. They don't have real demands. You won't see a list like you see at 11 demands at the No Kings rally, because they're not serious about really attacking and dealing with power and how power really operates. So I think the No Kings can be a starting point. I think candidates like hopefully those that we'll see on our 11 Demand Summit and others like those independent candidates, non-duopoly candidates, are real about identifying how power operates and changing power, changing the government, decorrupting our government to change it from one that works for the billionaires, decorrupting it into one that works for the 99%. So anyways, that just made me think of, well, I've been thinking about the No Kings rally because it gets a lot of press coverage. So I would say our answer needs to be yes, but we need to be looking much deeper and doing much more. The real challenge is, can we take that energy, and there is energy and turnout around these No Kings rallies. I think the number I heard was like 180,000 in Boston and of course millions across the country. Can we take that and leverage it and keep it moving, or move it into something real that really addresses billionaire power and fixing up the system? All right, moving through our queue here. We got a few more. Thanks for the super chat, Kenman, who says Left Eye was talented but also a crazy arsonist. And thanks for this super chat from our man Cloudness. Nick Cannon exposed DNC and he's next on hit list. All right. And thanks for this one, Measured Man, who says ROFL, Stone Mountain. Yes, it was a certain type of people, but I am not that expectation. Lots of celebs live here. Don't bring down my property value. LOL. Does have racist history. I ain't scared. And thanks also for this one, Measured Man, who says Left Eye was my favorite. I still say they took her out because of Dr. Sabby and her lupus was remission, and she introduced Wendy Williams to him. She started sharing his herb teachings online. All right. And that is going to, I think that just about does us for our queue. I think the Rockfin was pretty quiet today. I'm just playing with my gear here. Okay, this one, there we go. All right, so that's going to just about do it. Oh no, whoop, we got a late arriver in the Rumble. Did I say Rockfin? That's Rockfin's no longer. We no longer stream to Rockfin. We would have kept up with it, but they, I don't think they fully shut down the platform. But Rockfin seems to be most interested in like actually like showing wrestling content. It seems to be a big thing with them, but it does seem like they got sick of the political content and didn't see it as a moneymaker for them. And they've really, the thing they did is they shut off comments. So it actually became really just not possible for us, or not possible for people to do comments. So there was really not much point than for us streaming there. And at this point, I don't even know if we could stream there. But anyways, we have the Rumbles. Rumble lives. So we got one out there. I'm just tweaking around here to bring it up. A couple clicks, and here we are. Thanks for the Rumble rant from Angry Pro, who says, "No Kings is nothing but a parade for liberals to feel better about themselves. Garland Nixon a year ago did an investigation on it, and the whole thing is super shady." I hear you. So yeah, so like I said, we're not going to simply say, fall in with No Kings and the whole thing. I do think there's certainly room in there for calling them out. Oh wait, I got one more in here, also from Angry Pro. Let me bring that up here. Do a little bit of scrolling, and we are on it. Here we go. All right. Also, thanks for this one as well from Angry Pro. It says, Sabby, how do I contact/email you to suggest news stories, guests, and or provide a comment that's too long for a super chat? There is an email address that is put at the bottom of all. It's in the description box. I know it is on YouTube. I guess, is it on? I don't know if we have it on the Rumble. But if you go to, if you look at it on YouTube, it's I can't even, it's here, I'll even bring it up. I think it's sabrinasalvati at Sabby Sabs. If we bring it up here, let's take a look together while we're here. There we go. So if we go to YouTube, Sabby Sabs. All right. And if you're looking at any video like this one here, oh, am I going to see myself? I am. And we give YouTube a second to load. Video like this one here. Oh, am I going to? Oh. And if you scroll it down to the description box, show a little more in here. There we go. We have contact. So there are there's a business inquiries email, and the general contact is sabrinasalvati at sabbysabs.com. So that's your best bet if you're trying to kind of reach her in that way. It's she does get a lot of emails, so we can't guarantee a response, but that is the way to do it. All right, so like I said, catch us on Tuesday for our next live show. It should be a good one with the 11 Demands candidates panel. We've got a good lineup. There'll also be a regular live show with the regular set of stories. Sign up to that 11 Demands Substack. Keep up with the action. Also, be sure to be signed up to the Sabrina Salvati show Substack. That's also in that video description. And we'll see you then. See you next time. And until then, we'll say our usual, have a good night. Keep up the fight. Thanks, everyone.